Hello, welcome back to the channel of Motoring Nonsense, and today probably quite a lot of wind noise because it's very windy and it's not just the beans I had for lunch. In my experience as a car journalist, which is about 10 years or so, it's not as much as some people, I found out that some cars are just better with one sort of an engine over another sort of an engine. For example, a Ferrari is better with a naturally aspirated V12 as opposed to a farty turbo V8. Passat, I would go for a diesel Passat over a petrol one. It just makes more sense, and I think the best Bugatti Chiron I've ever driven had an 8-litre quad turbo W, whatever it is, 16. And I think the same is true of this, the Genesis GV70. I drove it last year, and I thought it was a great, surprisingly great luxury SUV out of newish brand Genesis from Korea. But it was just let down by a slightly crap range of petrol and diesel engines, and I thought, wow, this would make more sense as an electric car. Guess what? This one's electric. This is the Electrified GV70, and that might make it sound like a mild hybrid. It's not. It's fully electric, it is dual motor, and it's got nearly 500 horsepower. I've been living with it for a week. These are my brain words. Thoughts. Whatever. My camera is definitely going to blow over in that puddle in about 5 seconds. Now let's talk about the money. It costs £23,000 to you, the consumer, to buy an electric version of this over the petrol or diesel one. They start at about £41,000 here in the UK, this £64,000. And despite the fact there's only one trim level, that's Sport, and one drivetrain battery setup, which we'll get onto in a minute, there's still lots of option packs. And this one's got £15,000 worth of options on it. That is ridiculous. I'm going to read some of them to you because they are quite hilarious. There's, gosh. There is £3,500 of innovation pack, which is infotainment-y stuff, makes things go 3D, looks quite nice. £2,350 of Napa leather seats, it's got a nice roof lining thing going on as well. £1,500 of sunroof, £1,000 sound system, £1,130 to have it painted matte grey, which looks really good, but it gets dirty really, really quickly and it looks dusty, so I wouldn't bother with that. Luckily, you get some really good electrification stuff for your money. You get Kieran Hyundai's and Genesis's 77 kilowatt hour battery, and that is good for a flapping range of 283 miles on paper. I've been getting more like 220 miles on a charge, and that's averaging about 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour. I can't do the maths in my head to work out what that actually is, but whatever. Someone in the comments inevitably will. It can charge at 240 kilowatts, which is what, 18 minutes to get from 10 to 80%, I think, and it's really quick to drive as well. 0 to 62 is 4.8 seconds, or 4.2 if you press the boost button on the steering wheel, which perks things up for about 10 seconds. So yes, it's very fast, and it is aerodynamic as well. For an SUV, it's got a coefficient of drag of 0.29, which is the same as the original Toyota Prius, which is a very slippery car. Now, I want to get out of the wind for a little bit, but this is a great place to hide, whatever the weather, frankly. I really, really like Genesis interiors. I think they are some of the best interiors in cars that cost under £100,000. And I don't just mean it feels like a Bentley from Wish, because it doesn't. And some bits feel almost as nice as a Bentley, like these knurled bits on the end of here, and just the leather, and oh, it smells great. The infotainment is this massive 14.5-inch screen up here. It's a bit out of reach for a touchscreen. I think they really want you to use the rotary controller down here like in a BMW. That's fine, except I sometimes get it confused with the gear knob. It won't let you do anything dangerous, but it's just a little bit annoying. I've got a big digital dashboard with some 3D effects on it, which I've actually left on. They used to annoy me, but I'm okay with it now. And yeah, I've got big cup holders here. I've got a wireless charger for my phone down here, and it's angled so it stays there even when you're flooring it, and it's got a little light so you can see it's working. 2 normal USBs there. This is quite deep, and it's got a 12-volt socket. The door bins are quite slim. They're quite narrow. You wouldn't fit a big bottle in there. And they're not lined with felt, so stuff will rattle around. But otherwise, it feels sumptuous in here. And the standout feature for me, really, is the fluffy headlining. It's like someone has peeled a camel and stuck it on the roof. Really nice, but yeah, it's really good. It's got cooled seats, heated steering wheels, got the kitchen sink. Apple CarPlay you have to plug in for, which is a little bit annoying. But I'm going to show you the back seats next, and yeah, they're okay. Oh, actually, one negative thing. The doors, I don't know. I think they're quite big, and when I park this close to walls, it's been a bit of a squeeze to get out, more than in some other cars. Oh, and Genesis is very proud of the fact that the doors go all the way down and cover the sills, so you're not going to get muddy trousers when you hop out after a spot of light off-roading. Now, I know some of you are probably watching this wondering what it's like for kids, and it's actually pretty decent. There's enough room in the back easily to fit your child seats in. That's one for my 2-year-old. My 4-year-old's got a smaller seat on the other side. I'll stick some shots in. But yeah, it works as a family SUV in terms of rear seat space. Now I'm going to jump in and show you what it's like for carrying children. Yeah. Now, there have been some material changes to the GV70 and turning it into the electrified version, one of which is minimising the hump in the floor. So this should be better for middle seat passengers than the petrol or diesel one, which has got a bigger tunnel going to the rear wheels. And also this has got a frunk, which I'll show you in a second shot. But yeah, I'm going to hop in. That is my driving position. And yeah, plenty of knee room, plenty of foot room, which isn't something you always get in electric cars because sometimes the floor comes up with the batteries under them. Headroom is great despite having a panoramic sunroof, and it doesn't feel too claustrophobic when I shut the door. Sorry, I realised you couldn't see me. Look, we've also got natty little sun blinds. But yeah, it's really cosy back here. I've got 2 USB-As. I've got heated seats back here. I've got digital climate controls. It's pretty banging, to be honest. Have I got cup holders? Who's got cup holders, ladies and gentlemen? Let's check out the boot. Around the back, the electrified GV70 looks exactly the same as the regular GV70. It's got the same Phil Collins penned lights. I really like these. They look quite cool. Green number plate because it's an electric car. You press a button there to open the boot. It's 503 litres, so that is about 38 litres smaller than the petrol or diesel version, but it's still bigger than the BMW iX, which is a more expensive and bigger car. A little bit smaller than the BMW iX3 though. BMW kind of cocked up on that one, but whatever. There's a little bit of storage under the boot for your cables, so nothing's rattling around. You've got some storage at the side, and you've got flaps here for folding down the rear seats without having to go around the side. It's a perfectly decent space. It could absolutely do family duties, but that's quite boring to talk about. Let's go and drive it a little bit. Beep, beep. Oh, it's got a frunk. It's got a 25 litre frunk. How could I forget? Because it's only 25 litres, but it's better than nothing. Can you hear that? I'm not sure if you can. There's a constant buzzing in this car, even when you're parked up with it all switched off. I only know this because I had to sit in a hospital car park for an hour yesterday, and it got on my nerves a little bit. But anyway, let's go for a drive. You put your foot on the brake, hit the start button, and you twizzle yourself into your D. That sounds like a good Friday night out, doesn't it? But anyway, it's very easy to drive. It's like most modern electric cars. It just, oh, hang on. I've accidentally turned the fake engine noise up to maximum, and you can actually select which sort of engine it sounds like. I would turn it off because that's trying to sound like a V8. No, hang on, don't like this. Cut. Yeah, you can make it sound either futuristic like an S engine, an E-motor, or a custom sound. I don't want any of them, I just want it to be quiet. And actually, this car has got some cool tech that makes it even quieter once you're on the move. Oh, they've resurfaced this. Oh no, they've just cleaned all the cow shit off it. Brilliant. Yeah, it's got active noise cancellation like a pair of Bose headphones. And I don't really know how much I notice it working. We'll go up to motorway speeds in a minute. We'll talk about it then when we're doing 70 miles an hour. But otherwise, this is a reasonably comfortable car. Often cars that weigh 2.3 tons like this go like this a lot, and they jiggle about and they make you feel sick. This has only got a teeny tiny bit of that. It's mostly really good and comfortable, and my kids haven't been complaining. And the view over your shoulder is actually pretty good for a modern car because it's got quite big rear quarter lights, and that makes a large difference when you're like trying to reverse and navigate around, because you do sit up high and you can see quite a lot of the bonnet, and it does feel a bit intimidating the first time you get in it, certainly going down narrow roads, but you soon get used to it. The head-up display is big, it's clear, and it feels high-tech, as is the digital dashboard. You feel like you're in a Bentley Bentayga, but you've not paid 190 grand for one, you've paid 60 or 80, and I think that's a really good thing for Genesis. They've absolutely nailed the quality feel of everything you touch and look at when you're driving, and it's relaxing. But anyway, dual carriageway. Right, we're getting up onto a dual carriageway. That's 30 miles an hour. That's 70 miles an hour. That's quite fast. It's very, very fast, and I'll get onto a launch in a minute using the boost button. Now, it is a windy day outside, as I've explained at the start of this video, but I have to say, it's quite noisy in here from wind noise. I'm getting more than I expected off the door mirrors. Tyre noise is pretty well contained, but it's nowhere near as hushed as the champion of cabin isolation, the BMW iX. Now, the efficiency of this car is not that great. I've been getting 2.7 to 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour, and I feel like I've really had to work to get towards that. I don't think you're going to break much past the magic 3 miles per kilowatt hour unless you really, really try and do a certain type of slow driving. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing that. The safety tech is good though. You've got usual things like in the head-up display, it flashes up when there's a car approaching your blind spot. When you indicate, you get a camera view in the dashboard facing backwards, so you can see if you're about to murder Chris Hoy. It just feels, yeah, really high-tech and well sorted out. But is it fun? There's only one way to tell, and that's by taking it down a muddy, twisty road, of course. Right, 0 to 60 test. Oh, boost. Oh, yep, that's really fast. That's 60 miles an hour. That felt quicker than 4 seconds, frankly. And what I do like about this car is that when you put it into sport mode, the seat hugs you tighter, like a leathery Venus flytrap. No kink shaming here. If that's your thing, that's your thing. Someone at Genesis clearly is into a bit of BDSM, because that's quite interesting that it does that. But yeah, it is quick. It is really, really furiously quick. But then you start to sense this car's problem. It is quick, but it's no way a sports car. There's a corner here, and I feel like I want to slow down for it. It's got loads of grip because it's got proper Michelin Pilot EV or something, Pilot Sport EV tyres, and they're very, very grippy and very good, and it will do things that make you feel a bit sick in the corners, but it's not terribly enjoyable. You still roll around a bit, and it's a heavy car. You can sense that, and you sense that through the brakes. And speaking of the brakes, you've got different levels of brake regeneration. You can put it in a one pedal mode by just clicking the left paddle a few times, and you can actually adjust the brake feel of the pedal through the menus as well. So yeah, it's proper quick. It's not like Tesla Model 3 Performance quick. It's a second off that, but it is savage, and it will make your kids throw up inside themselves. And frankly, sometimes that's all you want, isn't it? But anyway, that's enough on how the GV70 electrified thing drives. Back to Tim, me, for a conclusion, or whatever the Korean word for a conclusion is. A bibimbap. Don't think that's it. So in conclusion, is this the best Genesis yet? Well, I think it might be. I've not driven the smaller GV60 yet, but Genesis just feels like one of those brands that's a bit like Polestar, in that electricity suits their brand, their suaveness, and their kind of cool design ethos more than petrol or diesel. So yeah, I'm really impressed. I think it's got a nicer interior than an Audi e-tron. It's almost as nice in there as the really expensive BMW iX. It's decent to drive, it's very fast. My only concern really is that some old racist people will probably balk at paying 64 grand for a Korean car, but that's their problem, frankly. And the range could always be bigger, but hey, we're at the start of the electric journey, sort of. Anyway, if this has been helpful, please hit like and do subscribe to the channel, because I've got plenty more car reviews coming quite soon, and I will see you soon, but only if you go down to the comments and leave me the Korean word for racist old man. Goodbye.